Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Hall, back once again with Johnny and Skye, returning from from America, which we'll be going into in a moment. What we're going to be talking, obviously, a lot about the first 2023 NFL UK game that happened this weekend, just gone. The Atlanta Falcons going up against Jacksonville Jaguars, but obviously, Skye has been in the land of the free, as they call it, and the birthplace of the game that we all love and why we make this podcast and why we write our articles and why we debate and why we play fantasy and why we bet, more than likely. And he's been to two, I'd like to say fantastic games, but fantastic venues. Been to two really nice venues. But he's going to tell us all about the games that he's seen over in America and his excursion over there. Skye, Johnny, welcome. Firstly, we'll kick off with the UK game that happened this weekend, just gone, with the Jacksonville Jaguars going up against the Atlanta Falcons. A final score that is completely escaping me now of 7 to Atlanta Falcons and Jacksonville Jaguars 23. Not the closest contest we wanted, Johnny. We were very lucky to be in media this time for the game, which will be at both the Spurs games as well. So make sure you go and come and chat to us at both the Spurs games. We were vaguely hoping for a close contest before the game when we were talking amongst each other and amongst other people in media. Not quite the close game we anticipated.
Yeah, I think we beforehand we were umming and ahhing on who to back. To be honest, it was quite. We thought it was going to be quite a close sort of matchup. Two teams who I think had a bit of a point to prove in London after so-so starts. But yeah, the atmosphere was unreal from not just the Jaguars fans who I think I've been to watch the Jaguars a few times now in London. I'd say Sunday was the loudest I've heard the Jags roar. Since I've been seeing them. So, and there was a lot of Falcons fans as well at the pubs beforehand. All in all, just a brilliant atmosphere. But yeah, on the field, it was a bit of a different story. I think the Jaguars dominated with an impressive offensive display, and the defense was able to just shut down Desmond Ridder. There were a lot of impressive performances from players on both sides of the fields. We could not get enough of every time Bijan Robinson touched the ball. He was always going to do something, but yeah, it wasn't to be for him. But yeah, the Jags fully deserved the victory, and I'm sure they'll be looking forward to the Bills next week at Tottenham Stadium, which should be a real clash of two titans in the AFC.
I agree, and one that debunking theory that everyone's been saying online, which I will address, is a lot of criticism about empty seats. I have to admit, looking online, there was a lot of tickets available. Obviously, the ticketing issues have been a massive topic of discussion for the NFL UK community for what feels like a long time now. I have to admit, I've never had problems getting tickets. That's not because luckily we've got media this year, and it's been a very nice privilege to us to have. But this is the first year we've had it. Every year I've bought tickets. I've got on queues like everyone. All three of us have got in queues like everyone else and been online and been waiting. And there were still tickets available. And there was a massive narrative of all the empty seats, and I felt that was unfair. There was definitely empty seats in the higher tiers. I have to admit that was probably a little bit of tickets becoming available, but my point to you, Johnny, on the day was, if things come around, life happens. People couldn't make it because of all sorts of stuff, at work and things like that. And also, we have to remember that the train strike was heavily influencing the day as well. I mean, there was still, I nipped outside at one point, and there were still people coming in halfway through the first quarter, and even towards the end of the half, really, there were still people just turning up, which I don't think we can fault people for what is a national thing at the minute with the train strikes and tube strikes and whatnot happening around London. So that was just one thing I wanted to sort of touch on just for people, because I think there's an unfair narrative that there isn't support in this country maybe for the sport. And I don't think that is correct. I think there's a massive amount of support here. I do think ticketing pricing is an issue, but I think that's worldwide across sports in general. I don't think you can necessarily call that NFL. You buy a ticket to Arsenal, to Chelsea, to Man City. I mean, I'm going to potentially go to see Leicester v QPR, the QPR ground. That's £30 for an away ticket. I'm very lucky I'm able to to afford that. But a lot of people aren't as lucky. We're in a very much a crisis in this country at the minute, and not that we ever get that political or topical or these sort of things on this show, but I just thought it'd be interesting for people to see maybe our point of view on it. Skye, did you watch any of the game over in America? Did you catch the highlights or anything? Was it a big topic of conversation for people in America, the London game?
The first thing I was
going to say pass them by like ships in the night?
I think it sort of passed by. The first I was going to say, Jets Patriots, if it makes any UK fans feel better, there were empty seats because of the weather. With it's basically flood there now. So I think there's just general impact with ticketing, depending on many factors, and also the fact that everyone knew probably wasn't going to be that exciting of a game once they saw how bad the weather was.
It was still, we still had almost 86,000 fans on Sunday, which is an incredible amount of people. Wembley holds 90,000, so that's almost a sellout. And if you put Wembley into America, it's automatically one of the biggest stadiums for an NFL game, and the record's I think just over 86,000. So it's probably one of the best supported games that there's been. And obviously, I take your point about the empty seats, and particularly people leaving towards the end because of the dead rubber. Well, in effect, the fourth quarter was a bit of a dead rubber, but the atmosphere was incredible, and I think UK fans can be incredibly proud of what they did. We saw teams and shirts from all over the country, people coming down who weren't even going to the game just to soak up the atmosphere, people who'd never watched the NFL. So it's certainly growing, and obviously, with Tottenham as well agreeing to more games over the next decade, I think that's the game and the ground, which I think is going to be really associated with the league in the next few years. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen at Tottenham, because the support for the NFL, I think, is at an all-time high, and it's obviously difficult having all the games largely being overseas, but I think we're in a good place. Sorry, Skye,
no,
completely delved in.
No, Johnny, like you said, people leave. The Cowboys Patriots game. Cowboys are up by. I know we'll touch upon it later. Me going to that game, obviously, just happening last week. But people are leaving in the third quarter because Dallas are up. They want to get home, or they want to head over to local bars. Patriots fans have had enough because they've done a long journey. So there's many different factors on the day. If you could take a picture of any image and just say, oh, look, London fans not turning up, whatever. But from my experience here with the game, a lot of people were up early. A lot of people were saying that would I be used to getting up that early to watch, and explained that it's usually actually a bit later, which I probably prefer. I don't know if I won't go into too much detail, but was at a TCU game on Saturday. So let's say I missed the first half of the Jags and Falcons. But I was hoping for, I think, was it 2014 when the Falcons lost to the Lions by like a point? I thought we might get a similar game to that. I thought it was going to be close. I know from what I saw, B. John Robinson looked good, but it always seemed like the Jags were in control. And I think people in America coming off of that game, people were sort of starting to respect the Jags a bit more, in the sense that it seemed like they were coming over at first more as a novelty, and it's only Jacksonville going to London. Whereas I think now there's a bit more of a respect that they're helping grow the game internationally. There's obviously a lot more buy-in when you've got someone like Trevor Lawrence as your quarterback. He seems to have an efficient game, and also when you've got a Super Bowl head-winning coach, I think they're really flying the flag internationally, and that's great to see, and also great to see them win as well. We'll see if they can back it up against the Bills, because obviously they're coming off of a impressive win. I think everyone's super excited for Sunday. But yeah, all in all, I think my experience here is everyone's sort of rooting for the Jags in the same way that we are. They respect what they're doing internationally, and we root for them because they're sort of our second home team. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, both of you made some really fantastic points. I will go a bit more game-centric there. I've got stats in front of me. And Trevor Lawrence, 30 for 23, 207 yards, a touchdown. And it's not easy reading on the other side. Ridder, 31 for 19, 191 yards and a touchdown. We said it in the ground, Johnny. He could not string a pass together. Was it Ridder's fault, or did this Jacksonville defense turn up? Because I felt like there was a mixture of both. I mean, we even joked around at halftime that potentially we might be seeing Taylor Heineke come out, because it was he just couldn't string anything together. I do have probably the quarter by quarter breakdown in the stats, but of what his completions were post half time, but it felt like I would go as far as saying this is probably really stretching it. He didn't complete 10 passes in the first half.
I mean, it was I can't remember his first completion. It took a while for the Falcons to get anywhere on offense, really. And the weapon we spoke about, Robinson, was the only thing I think positive.
Sorry to interrupt. I've just found the first half stats, and he only made 9 completions.
How many of them were to Robinson?
No check down machine.
4.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we joke quite a bit. I mean, I think talking about it seriously, it's really disappointing to see that Ridder is heading in obviously you're putting faith in a quarterback, and it's not working. He's yet to truly elate the offense off. I think coming up to about 10 starts in the league, and with the teammates that he has around him, the weapons, Cal Pitts not getting involved at all, and the Falcons have some real talent on offense, and the thing that seemingly let them down on Sunday was the quarterback play. Like you say, I think the Jags defense was really impressive. Made some great plays, particularly swarming the options for Ridder. Obviously, the pick six was a real game changing moment in a sense that it sort of clarified the Jags' dominance. And Atlanta were never able to recover. I think there was a little bit of a resurgence late in the third quarter with the touchdown and the near miss to Drake London. But yeah, unfortunately, it was a real day to forget for Drake London for Desmond Ridder. And I think Taylor Heineke would have given them. I wouldn't say he is the type of quarterback that can lead a type of comeback which the Falcons needed on Sunday, but certainly someone who's a lot more competent and make them, I think, a little bit more grittier. And I don't think he has the same mistakes that Riddick clearly personified on Sunday. But I can see a change potentially coming in the next couple of weeks if the Falcon, the stats don't improve. They are 2-2, so technically they are still in with a good chance in what is quite weak but competitive NFC South. But yeah, on Sunday it was a really disappointing day out, and really needs to improve for his team.
Like you said there, Johnny, sorry, with 2-2 with Ridder, I mean, they're 2-2, so they've not exactly been bad. And now Patriots, Jets, Zach Wilson, the whole week here, the media were giving him so much stick. And look how good he was against the Chiefs. They've travelled to London. He's a young guy. Maybe next week he bounces back against Houston. They're 3-2. You don't know. It's week to week. So as obviously you guys saw the first
maybe
half.
I'm being a bit harsh.
No. I'm usually the harsh with that. But, it just shows that in a week, if they have another bad game, then it will be, right, there's weapons on this team. Let's change quarterback. If they're 3-2, it's like, well, actually, maybe there's a bit of a bounce back there. But either way, the Falcons have obviously got a bright future, got some bright players. Also on Kyle Pitts, I think they should trade him now. From what I've seen, I think something's not right there. I think
that's a lot of my thinking as well behind Ridder is because of the youth, the talent like Pitts and London, who are getting further down the line on their rookie deals. And have just not shown anything to what they were sort of expected to. Is Ridder the problem to that, or is poor quarterback play for the Falcons to blame? I don't know, but something needs to change. And unfortunately for Kyle Pitts, and I think for all parties, it just seems that keeping him around is just detrimental to the player and the team's sort of prospects.
Can I throw one thing at you, Freddie, just to sneak in? I've been waiting to say this because I haven't been on.
Of course.
Are you ready? I told you Tampa would be good. I got laughed at when we did our really boring preview. The Buccaneers are here.
I don't know if they're going to be there all the way though, but God, you've really for a spanner works there. You've really thrown me off kilter. I had my next thing coming right in my head, and now I'm like,
I know how upset you were when I said I'd taken Baker. I remember you being
I just don't like Baker. I just don't like Baker. It's not like I dislike the Bucks. I just don't like Baker. One person to the point I was going to make before the Bucks started interrupting me. One person who didn't disappoint was Bijan Robinson. And that was definitely the big thing that everyone was looking forward to before the game. 105 yards, no touchdowns, unfortunately, but also 32 yards on the ground as well. In passing as well. I thought he was just sensational. He was so clearly the game plan they should be going with. And Algier didn't have the greatest games, only 16 yards on 7 carries. But that so works for Tampa. Tampa's ruining this section. Clearly works for Atlanta. Books on the brain now. That so works for them. Like he's just in sensation. And I got him hyped up a lot to me prior to the draft. Like Andrew specifically was saying about how much of a game change talent he's going to be. And I think a lot of players have been hyped up like that to me. And Najee Harris being someone that's sort of not really showing what I was sort of like sold really when he was drafted. But Bijan is, man, that guy's a dude. Like he was the one encouraging thing for the Atlanta Falcons that whole game. And you could tell in the stadium people were well excited to see him and really interested on both sides of the fans, really, I think. But we've got to give our flowers to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And actually, we've got to give our flowers to one guy in particular because we interviewed him only a couple of months ago, and that was Josh Allen. And he promised us sacks in London, and he delivered. He got 3 sacks on the day. And that Jags D-line needed this sort of game because that's the sort of question mark over them in this season so far is we know they've got a good defense. We know they've got a pretty decent defense. And if their players can really come to play, then we're going to have a great defense. And they've really not performed all that well in the start of the season. And Josh Allen just led this defense, didn't he? I mean, I know Darius Williams got those 2 interceptions on the day, but I felt like the pressure on Ridder is what was the deciding factor, I suppose.
Yeah, massively. He had a huge game. I think, the first sack in the first half, I recalled it. Yeah, that's our guy, and just continued throughout 3 sacks and a forced fumble, didn't he? I think led his team's defensive effort, and he like I say, led from the front. I thought the Jags defense was incredible. I can't believe that Bijan Robinson got 100 yards. It felt like every time a running back in ORG you mentioned had a poor game, but the pressure that they were able to get in the rushing game, I think was clear for all to see. It just took a generational talent like Robinson to sort of aid that. I think with anyone else, those rushing numbers would have been a lot lower. So I think the rush defense was good, and obviously we saw Ridder being picked off 3 times. And I think, the Jags, I think in all are just thriving on being here. I think Josh Allen mentioned it in the post-game press conference that they are, really excited to be here for, a full week. It's the first time that's happened, playing back-to-back and staying, for that sort of period of time. I think really sort of galvanizing the British feel and the British excitement for the NFL. The players are just loving it. And I'm expecting another big game from a big name player from the Jags next week. I think they're in a good spot after a so-so start. We'd build them up very highly, I think, at the start of the season and in pre-season. And I think slowly but surely they're getting back on track. Trevor Lawrence had a good game as well. I think his rushing ability has been very almost swept under the carpet. He's a real athlete, and it was clear to see from the sort of ground level where we were how good he is with his feet. So good, feeling good about the Jags and excited to see them against the Bills.
Well, it was a really fun first game, debut game of the 2023 season in London. We will be at Tottenham for the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Buffalo Bills. Me and Skye will be there. It was really nice seeing a lot of familiar faces around the games this time. We hope to see them familiar faces again. I know I didn't speak to a lot of people that I saw around because we were trying to get to the game and stuff, and it was a bit on a time limit, I suppose, but we'll try and chat to a load of more people at the games coming up this weekend. But drop us a message. I had a few DMs on the day saying, like, that and everything like that. So always feel free to do that. We always love talking football. And if, you're interested in doing more within this podcast, maybe you want a platform to do that or on off grid as well, then more than happy to take any messages and DMs. And it's bringing that good British support to the Tottenham ground. It'll be really good fun. Skye, you've had a lovely holiday. You've been doing things that only we mere normal people could dream of. You've been jet setting, you've been having fun. You tried to see Messi, but that didn't work out, did it?
I know.
How's your trip been?
It's been great. Tiring. That makes it sound so, I don't know how these guys do the traveling all the time and actually play sport.
That sounds like you're about to break up with somebody.
I think New York is, for anyone who's been, and, it's like any big city, right? And that's not me dismissing it. New York is great, but the weather, we just brought the weather with us from London. The Patriots-Jets game, though, was great because I'd never, tailgating is such a big thing in America, but I feel like I would say American people and fans are very friendly, but sometimes because I feel like in the UK, we more stick to our groups with our football. You go to the pub with your mates and you go to the ground together. And it was my first real experience there's a guy I met during a playoff game over in London years ago. And he basically just started speaking to some guys next to us who were all from Boston. Let us use their grill. We're all there in the rain. People handing out ponchos. Even though the weather was awful, it was great. It was a great experience. So I loved that game. More so than obviously the Cowboys game, not just because we got destroyed, but honestly, if you ever go, that screen, I don't know how big it is, 200, 500 inches. People pay for a ticket. They watch the screen more than the field because it's that big. It was mad. And
really?
Yeah, and the punter almost hit it on one of them. I can't remember the Cowboys punter's name, just gone from my head, but he almost hit the screen, and I'm thinking, bloody hell. So I was just trying to fixate on the field, but everyone else was just sort of like, just there. But, who am I to criticize Jerry Jones and the way he's set up AT&T Stadium? It's still a fantastic stadium. If you ever go to Dallas, they don't really tailgate. I think I said this to you by text, Freddie. They go to a place called Texas Live. Maybe it's because it's 34 degrees plus all the time and there's all like bars there and food. So got to have some nice beef brisket, some, Tex-Mex. That was cool. Watched some of the games before the Cowboys destroyed us. And, got to see Matt Jones get benched, which was probably the right call to save face. But, it's the first time I saw the Patriots lose, guys. I've seen this twice in London against the Bucks and the Rams years ago, both wins. Saw the 43-40 at Gillette years ago against the Chiefs, went to MetLife before, then had that one. So I guess it was due a loss at some point. But apparently it's the biggest loss in Belichick's in the Belichick era. I saw on TV yesterday. So
wow.
Great. Can add that to I could say I was there for that. Great.
Now, I'm sure as a Jets fan, Johnny's itching to know about how his team looked in New York and that game. Though it wasn't this weekend, just got the weekend before. Do you want to chat about that?
I'd love to. Obviously, well, the Jets have. There's been a little, renaissance of bit of positivity after their showing against the Chiefs.
The defense is great, Johnny. Sorry to honestly, even live. So impressive.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. Because, that game, from watching it, just from, on Red Zone last week, obviously, the main spectacle was how poor Zach was and, both offenses weren't really clicking. But I'm sure it was a great day out for you.
We were laughing at Zach Wilson, and I hate to say that, but in the crowd, even Jets fans were making, And I'd kind of, when there was that final drive and there was a Hail Mary or the 2 drives before, I was like, this could be like, it's going to sound over-exaggerated. I was like, this could be career-defining. If he could beat the Patriots here. So then before the game on Sunday, after we come out the Cowboys-Patriots game, I'm thinking, this could also be one. Like, if they can somehow beat the Chiefs. And he was making some, I know obviously I'm going away from the game I saw live, but we're talking about week 4 as well. I think he looked so good. There was somewhere receivers messed up more than him. He moved well. He in the pocket. He could have been sacked a couple of times. And obviously, for me, I don't know how you guys felt about this. That was a pretty soft call at the end. The pick that got overturned for Mahomes. I'm thinking the Jets could have won this. So there's still a lot to take away from that. And it just shows, like I was saying before, a lot can change in a week, right? Because like I said, Patriots fans were laughing at Zach Wilson last week. And then I liked Mahomes giving his props to Wilson as well in the post game. I think not enough players do that, especially at the quarterback position. So it was quite nice of him to talk Zach up because he's taken a lot of criticism. And I think the Jets can be slightly optimistic now. I don't know, Johnny, how you feel, but I feel like there's some life there, some renewed hope now.
I think so. I think overall offensively as well, because against the Patriots we saw hardly any of Breece Hall. A lot of Dalvin Cook has been very poor, and I think a lot of changes Nathaniel Hackett put into this week made that suited Wilson on our rushing attack. I think just helped out. We've looked pretty shady against the Cowboys and the Patriots. So. I think that's obviously very positive. I don't want to focus too much on the Jets because there's so much to talk about your Patriots as well. But I don't know how you're feeling about Mac Jones. Doesn't look like he's the guy. What do you want to see for the rest of the season? Obviously, bench.
Can I say tank?
After coming in, do you want to are you rolling with him for the rest of the year? Is that your?
Get Caleb. I mean, obviously, I don't watch as many college games as ever, but on the Saturday, and I'm like, holy crap, he is good. I mean, already, like watching the full game, like he's the real deal. I don't know.
Bill doesn't strike me as a tanking man. That's all.
No. Well, the thing that sucked the most from the loss to the Cowboys is Christian Gonzalez got injured. His family was actually 2 rows ahead of us, and loads of people were like going to check if Christian Gonzalez was all right. Even Cowboys fans after, like, seems like he's out indefinitely. Judon was hurt, and I mean, our team is built on defense. So to lose, I know obviously Gonzalez is only a rookie, and Judon, is the main man. I think that's 2 star players gone. And in America yesterday, they were saying, what was one of the shows said, if you want a game to bounce back, which team would you pick to play against right now? And they all picked the Patriots. I was like, bloody hell, this is a change in time. I was like, we're now the laughing stock of the NFL. We're even below the Cardinals. So,
or the Broncos.
Yeah. Well, the Bears they gave them a win, didn't they? Feeling generous.
Yeah, but Miami smashed them.
Yeah, I felt like that.
In your game
I felt like I drank too much. I didn't believe that they actually put up 70 until the next day. That was crazy. But in terms of what I want from the Patriots, I don't know. I feel like we're going to be in the same scenario as last season now in terms of he's put Zappy in. Maybe that's the right thing because Daniel Jones last night doesn't get benched and he is being tormented all game. So I think Belichick did the right thing protecting Jones there because the game was done. He said he's going to be a starter going forward. Let's see what happens. But I think when it sounds like I have any excuse to talk bad about Daniel Jones here, there's just certain teams, right, where that quarterback's not the long-term answer. I don't think Matt Jones is a bad quarterback. I don't think when Daniel Jones got the rushing upside, I mean, even the commentary last night, they were like, oh, his best thing is his legs. I was like, oh, that's great to say about a quarterback. Regardless of what the point I'm getting to is, we've got a good team, got the greatest head coach of all time, but something needs to be done at the quarterback position eventually. He's not going to throw the towel in, like you said, Johnny, but next year there needs to be some sort of address, whether it's a stopgap in free agency or drafting someone else, which is a shame for Mac because I think he looked good in the first 2 weeks. I hope he bounces back, but it's really like put up or shut up for him now. So we'll see how he bounces back against the Saints.
And finally, just because I know you've got to head off because you've got to get out of the Airbnb, you're on a time limit, You got a flight to get. What's the general feeling around Dallas about the Cowboys' chances this year? Because they've really come out of the blocks, and I can imagine in Dallas, that's probably they think they've won the Super Bowl already.
I wish I wore my Romo jersey to fit in instead of my Matt Jones jersey. They are all on the Super Bowl hype train. Like, and to be honest, with Diggs getting injured for the season, I thought, oh, we got a chance to get to secondary here. Their secondary looked good. And I was like, oh, crap. So I think the general feeling that everybody was saying is, weirdly enough, not worried about the Eagles. I think similar to what Jerry Jones was saying, it's the Niners. They're all hyped up for this Niners game now next week. I think the general feeling is that could be a preview of the NFC title game. Probably the only team that they're probably feeling that will beat them if they stay healthy. But yeah, I guess the Cowboys are probably like this most years. But I'm one person who usually talks them up. I feel like from what I've seen live, Dak does put his receivers in a bit of danger with some of those throws. But if the defense plays the way it does, he doesn't need to do as much as a lot of quarterbacks need to do. So I think they're more within their own right to say they've got a chance of making the Super Bowl because the roster's stacked. McCarthy's finally got over 10 years of mistakes of actually going for it on fourth down. So that's good because, we used to always sort of be a bit conservative. So, I think the general feeling amongst fans and talking after the game is they think they're going to go all the way.
Well, at least there's one thing consistent within the world today, and that's the Cowboys thinking they're going to win the Super Bowl. Skye, Johnny, thank you very much for joining me. We're going to do a bit of a short show this time because Skye does have a plane to catch. He's got to get back here. He's got to come join me at Tottenham this weekend. Like I said, we will be there. Skye, Johnny, thank you very much for joining me this evening. We'll see you all this weekend, we hope. We'll be at the event at Battersea Power Station as well. The NFL event there. So make sure you keep an eye out for us there. And obviously, we'll be at the game on Sunday as well. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week and we'll see you all very soon.